Hello, hello, hello out there, future millionaires. We have a guest with us today that you're going to be excited about, especially if you are a lover of books. Also, if you are a lover of children, we have with us today a children's book author, a wife, and mother of three. She self published three books entitled Animated Like Me, My Skin Has Shapes, and Kamille and Her Worrisome Worries. She is doing what she loves on her path to success. She would love nothing more than to inspire others to do the same. Rayna Best, welcome to the Millionaire by Morning podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was such a good introduction.
That's I wanted to start with that because we're going to get into each one of those books.
Okay.
But first and foremost, let's do an introduction. Let's go back to the origin of Rayna Best and her decision to begin writing children books.
Okay. So it literally came out of nowhere. Well, I won't say nowhere because as a kid, I always wrote poems and short stories. And I was even fortunate enough to do a poetry night with Most Def's camp. He hosted a poetry slam on, I believe it was USLA or UCLA, one of the colleges out in LA. I was like 10, so forgive me if I don't remember. But I was up there visiting my sister and we were doing a poetry night, and they were like, okay, anybody want to just come up and say, do their own little freestyle or poem or whatever. And my sister was like, go up there. Mind you, I'm a child. So I'm like, I don't know. But I did it and I got a standing ovation. And I just absolutely loved that moment for me. And as I got older, I kind of fell off with writing. But as you know, when you're passionate about something and something is really meant for you, and if it's really your calling, it always comes back. So 2020 hit, and I was just in my room, not doing anything special. And I was like, how can I turn my gift into something that could be dedicated to my three girls? And so my oldest, she struggles with, was struggling at the time with making friends and other things. I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a book about ADHD. It's going to be dedicated to her. We're going to have a main character, Kamron. He's going to go through all these difficult, situations where he's, having a hard time making friends. And then he's going to meet Kamille. And then, it's just going to be a beautiful story of friendship. And from there, that situation turned into me writing two other books, and I'm just going to keep going from there. But most of my inspiration just comes from the children that I've worked with in the past. I used to be a teacher, and of course my own children and my own personal situation with anxiety as a child.
Okay, all right. So personal inspiration. Um, that's normally where it starts, and you were right. What you do as a child normally circles back to what you love as doing as an adult. I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Um, so as far as not inspiration, but who do you look to, let's say as a muse, someone is doing what you do and maybe you can people to their work and kind of copy or do the same?
Yeah, I absolutely love Tiffany D. Jackson, Angie Thomas. They are YA young adult authors, so they're not really writing children's books, but I really love how they're passionate about their work and they just constantly push out content in books. And I'm just like, how are y'all writing all these stories? Like, when do y'all have the time? So I'm just really inspired by their work ethic, because I'm like, okay, I know I can write, but to write chapter books and push out two books a year or less or more, it's really inspiring. So I really love Tiffany D. Jackson and Angie Thomas.
When you're writing,
Mm-hmm.
do you I guess, and this is pertaining to that and
Mm-hmm.
something that maybe writers go through, I know musicians do, but do you ever like get in a zone to where the ideas won't stop coming and you're just pouring out?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like it's almost amazing because you can't really believe it's coming from you. So how I do it is, like I said, my first love was poetry. So when you read my stories, you'll see it has like a rhyming pattern to it. And so for me, it's easier for me to write books that rhyme because it's just naturally in me. So as I'm writing it, the things just come, okay, what rhymes with whatever I'm saying, so it just naturally comes. Whereas if I'm writing a story that's not poetic, it's a little bit harder for me, which is weird, but yeah, it just flows.
Poetry.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I would like for you to kind of think about it, and it's the on the spot question, but
Okay.
so you may forget something or leave something out. If someone is listening to this and
Mhm.
want to kind of do what it is that Rayna best does, as far as getting the book from writing to illustration to production to publishing, can you go through the process of what that takes or what that looks like?
Yeah, because it can be very discouraging when you, like you say, you don't know where to start. And that's exactly where I was at. All I knew is I had these words in my phone or written on paper, and I didn't know what to do with them. So what I instantly began to do was search out other Facebook groups and things like that who were trying to do the same thing that I was doing. And I was searching through their different posts in their groups. And sometimes you can ask questions yourself, like, how do I publish a book, or how do I find my illustrator? And people will answer you in those groups. But a lot of times it's best to just type in the search engine what you're looking for, and it'll pop up because a lot of people have the same questions. Um, but for me, when you have a story, say you've written a story, and you need an editor, you need an illustrator, you need a formatter, you need all these things to make your book work. I went to a website called Fiverr, Fiverr, Fiverr.com, or is it Fivv? We'll talk later. But
No,
Fiverr.
you're right. I'm on there a lot. You spelled it right.
Yeah. So Fiverr.com, they have everything, like literally everything that will help you publish your book. Like they have, if you need a person to proofread your work, they have those. So that's a really good website. That's where I found my formatter. Her username is the Borough, and she did my illustrations, and she formatted my book, and then I was able to upload it into Ingram Sparks. Now it sounds easy, but then you have to go make sure you get your book copywritten, and you have to make sure that you have the barcode for the back of the book, and you have your ISBN number. So these are all like extra things that you don't really know going into it. You just think you put the book out there. But yeah, like I said, once you join those Facebook groups and you start asking questions, and then you start seeing what other people are asking and really doing the research, the information will come to you like that. And then also, if you want to DM me, I'm not a gatekeeper. I will help you through it and give you whatever, answer any questions you may have. So you always have me as a resource.
I think that's awesome. I think that is awesome. Um, so these books, do you have a certain price point for them? Um, I guess,
Um, well, no, not really. My first book, Animated Like Me, I made it $10 because I wanted it to be affordable, right? So it's a thin book. It's not very thick. A lot of authors charge kind of by like whether it's a hardcover or paperback, and how thick the book is. That's kind of like where the pricing comes in at. But if you're self-publishing a book and you make your book $10, you're not going to see a lot of profit because you have to pay Ingram Sparks, and you have to pay Barnes and Noble if they sell a book of yours. So it's like all these middle people you have to pay, and then you might. And this book is for me really, if you buy it from Barnes and Noble anyway, I'm going to get $2 for it. So like, so you have to, if you really want to sell your books and charge a lot for it, it might be harder to sell, but you will get a bigger profit back. But I just wanted to make it affordable.
With you saying that, I just want to put Russell Wilson and Sierra on notice because they sell children's books. And I went to go purchase some. And I think for like three of them, it may be $65 or something like that. And they have 10 to 12 pages. They're really thin books. Um, so I just want to put them on notice, but hey, man, you have to be really upper middle class
Right. Like you
for your
really don't need the
children.
money. Like, why is your book $20? You don't really
Right.
need it like that.
Yeah, you don't need it like that. They should be the one with the $2 profits.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. In Target. If you don't believe me, go to Target and check it out. Check their books out. So let's get into the books.
Mhm.
Um, so tell us about the first written one,
Mhm. Animated.
um, Animated Like Me. Okay, give us a little character story.
Yeah, so Kamron, the main character, he has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, like in the story, you will see all the he's a zebra, but you would see all the characteristics that you might see in a child who has a hard time being still, who has a hard time being quiet, and other kids are kind of like looking at him like, "Oh, he's weird," but it's like he's not really weird. He's just who he is, and so throughout the story it talks about how he's having these issues, and then he meets the secondary main character, Kamille, and she's just as loud and boisterous, and and she's very supportive, and they connect like, and they just begin having fun of their own. And with kids, once you see two kids having their own like fun, it's like, oh, what they doing? So like the other zebras in the book, they then begin to join the two, and I think it's really cool because one of the things that you don't really notice about children with ADHD, they don't really remember names very well.
Mm.
And so, like my kid, I'll ask her, she's like, "Oh, I met a new friend today." I'm like, "Okay, what's her name?" She's like, "I don't know." So it's like they don't really. So in the book, you see that. I think the line goes, even though what's the line? Because I want to get it right. Okay, this is like my favorite part of the book because the book is, and let me just read. They didn't always remember the other zebras' names, but that was okay because they remembered them by name. And that's so true because kids just really don't care about what their friends' names are when they first meet them. They're just like, I don't know, I like them, they like me, so we're best friends now. And so
Right.
that's kind of like what the book is. But it just really shows you a glimpse of what kids with ADHD go through every day.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. Um, so you were a teacher before
Mm,
this.
yes.
So all these stories are coming out in your books of what you've seen, the children, the behaviors, all of that. That's good to draw from. That's excellent that you have that to draw from. Do you go back into the schools and read these stories and speak to the children and that type of
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, absolutely. COVID kind of, put a pin in that in 2020, so I couldn't really do much. But last year I did three events, one with California First Five, Heron Elementary, and Two Rivers Elementary. And I was so excited, and it was such a good outcome. And I was like really nervous because I didn't really think the kids would show up for like the evening event that I did, but it was so packed, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're here!" So I really love it. I really do.
That's awesome, man. My skin has shapes. Tell us about that.
So that book is about skin discoloration. My second oldest, her name is Kamaya. She doesn't have vitiligo, but she does have this a slight discoloration, but because she's so fair skinned, you really don't notice it. But like if you look on her stomach, you'll see like these little swirls and patches and things like that. And so before the world could tell her how she should feel about her skin, I wrote this book when she was like maybe 3. And it just really is a book about self love and just really enjoying who you are and your identity. And in the book, it also kind of teaches about like different shapes. And because in the book, the main character, Maya, her skin turns into all these, she's dreaming, but in the dream, her skin turns to all these different shapes and patterns and colors. And so I think that that was a cool way to teach like the primary kids about shapes and colors, but also highlighting self-love and loving who you are inside.
Yeah. Okay. Very creative.
Yeah.
Um, and Kamille and her worrisome worries.
Yes.
What about that one?
So that's a sequel to the first animated Like Me, where we met Kamille in the first story. So now Kamille has her own story. And this is kind of like the story about me and my daughter Kamille, because we both kind of feed off of each other's anxiety. Like if I'm late, like if I'm late and I'm not on time, I'm like freaking out, even if the person that's waiting for me doesn't care. And I was like, I don't know how to calm that down. I could tell myself like it's not that deep, Rayna, like calm down. But it's just anxiety is not something you can just like turn off. It's just like really ingrained in you. Like you can work at it and it gets easier over time, but you just have these things where it's just like you're triggered and just like all of a sudden you have this overwhelming emotion of just like worry and you don't know where it's coming from. So Kamille and Her Words and Words is based on me and her, because she has that bit of anxiety too. Like, you know how kids, they'll have like an attitude, or, like you always think like, why are they acting like that? Like, oh, they're just becoming a teen. So it's just what it is. But for me, I know it's something deeper with her. So I have to pull her to the side like, okay, what's worrying you? I don't want to go to school. Okay. So it's like she has these like different anxieties with her. And then I just showcased it in the book and really showed like how her character is dealing with this. Like in the story, it says sometimes these thoughts keep her up late at night. Um, and so you get to see how she's handling it, and then you see Kamron, he comes back, and just like she did for him in his story, he does for her, and he gives her different tips and advice on how she can cope with anxiety. And both of these books have tips for parents in the back on what they can practice with their kids too as well.
Okay. I like that. I like the tip aspect of it.
Mhm.
I could definitely see you turning this into like a course situation or something,
Yeah.
to where you're kind of teaching right along with it, which you're already doing actually. Um, so this is something that you have love for doing. So for Rayna, what's next on this journey?
More books for sure. But like I said, when you're well, I didn't mention this earlier, but when you're a self-published author, it does take a lot of your own money. And so you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to get your book right if you want like good quality books. And so I'm hoping that I can find an agent and I can get, a book deal because it's not cheap. And so I have like all these other ideas and things that I want to put out, that I'm going to go for sooner than later, put out more books and just really keep doing what I love, which is writing and reading and all in between.
Is this something that you have turned into a full-time author, or are you still working another career?
Yeah, it's not full time. I just do it when I can. I think so you mentioned earlier I am married with children, so my husband, he does work and all that, and I'm basically a housewife, so that's a blessing. Um so it could be full time if you really wanted to grind and really, get out there, but a lot of the times for us self-published authors, we can get discouraged when things aren't going well. And then you have those two options: you can get discouraged and quit, or you can get determined and keep going. So and it happens in seasons. Some seasons where you feel like, okay, it's time to grind, and then other seasons you're feeling like, okay, I'm drained and I need to just take a break. And so I think last season was my season of, okay, I'm just going to take a break. I did those 3 author events, and then I was just like, okay, I want more. um but I will be honest and say I wasn't really to put in that effort to do more. So once January hit, I was like, okay, we have these books, what are we going to do with it? We can't just sit on them, we got to make something happen. And so I'm just going to be doing that going forward, going a lot more hard than what I did in 2022.
I understand the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I totally get it. And especially with writers and creatives, like
Mm-hmm.
you definitely have to be inspired and motivated and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, absolutely. Um, but I have seen your Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and it appears that you read the stories on there. Um, so what's behind that? Is that just kind of you letting the world know who you are and telling your story? Can you go into that a little bit?
So for my Instagram account, my book account, um, I'm just really sharing my love of books on that account. So you'll see me sharing not just my books, you'll see me sharing other authors' works and book reviews that I sometimes do on TikTok, because I'm really just a lover of books, whether it's children's books or adult books or young adult books. I just think that reading is just so fun to like and important and like I don't know, like when I go to the stores and I'm always going to the book section, my kids are like, Mom, we're here for toys. I'm like, I know, but I just want to look at the book. So I don't know, I'm just on there sharing my love of books. And
Okay.
you know
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all.
mm,
Um, Books can be some of everything. Choose your own
mm,
adventures, motivational, um, business books.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot out there, and I want to thank you for coming on. What I would like to do for you to do is give us your web address. I know you have a shop on there where people can shop for your books. What's that web address?
Yes, it's RB Scribe. So that's RBSCRIBES.com. You can buy the books over there. You can DM me on Instagram if that's better for you. You can even shop online at Barnes and Nobles, Walmart. Yeah, they're online. So if you feel more comfortable doing that too, that's fine.
Okay, and the Instagram or the socials are they all the same handles?
Yeah, so for my book account Instagram, it's RB Scribes, same spelling as my website. And then if you are on TikTok and you like book reviews, you can type in Rayna Swan, and my TikTok will pop up and you'll see all my book reviews.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Anyone out there looking to be an author, you had just received gems and jewels from Raina Best, who is a published author. I want to thank you for coming on the show, telling your story, talking about your books, and I want to wish you much success in everything that you do from here on out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.